You might say they were folks who fell through the cracks of the system. They needed extra help, special help. And so it was in West Babylon. That was the first house. And that was exciting. In a way, we could say that they could go directly to their own house, to their own home. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Finally, we were able to give people a place to live in their own backyard, where they wouldn't be hurt, where they had a sense of belonging. In spite of all those who said, not here, not here, not here. Money? Oh, this all took a lot of money and grants and a lot of hard work, but money was never the focus of how we moved through our story at Mercy Haven. The focus was what was the needs of the residents. That's really the focus, yeah. What were the houses like? Oh, let me tell you. Well, again, these are the toys from the little girl who lives here. Well, the first three were the CRs, the community residences. And there would be staff there around the clock to care for folks. It still works that way. West Babylon, Westbury, and West Bayshore. Maybe you live in some of those towns yourself. And maybe you've even been by and seen some of these houses. I go there often and visit. Yeah. Easy? Oh, no. No. You see these elastic bands? These rubber bands? Well, they're really important in our storyboard. Because in our story of Mercy Haven, everybody gets stretched. Sometimes it would be so easy to hate those who hated the work we were trying to do in Mercy Haven. Because every time a new house would be going up in the neighborhood, there would be those who say, no, not here, no, not here. And it would be so easy just to hate those people and be angry at those. But we were always called to stretch and to really be people of compassion and understanding, no matter what. The staff was stretched, Sister Pat and Sister Jessie, the residents, the counselors, everybody. Sometimes it seemed that we would be stretched almost to the breaking point, but we never broke. So there's a stretchiness about these houses and a stretchiness about our story. What else is here? Well, there are other houses. We call them the hearth houses. And they're apartments for people who are more independent and able to get themselves to their day programs. Well, Cherry Street. Remember what I said earlier about Cherry Street? Did I tell you that the same person who was the landlord for the Bay Break had also been the landlord for Cherry Street? But now Mercy Haven redid Cherry Street to make it wonderful, wonderful apartments. And with apartments where people could be more independent, we now have families. We have children. We have Cherry Street apartments, Nanatuck Boulevard, Hawthorne Avenue, Ketchum Avenue. Or people just weren't placed there any old which way. Oh no. At Mercy Haven, we do everything we can to match up people with the proper residence and the right roommate. We just don't willy-nilly move people around. No. We also have new things happening. Yeah. We have shelter and care that's beginning to open. Because Mercy Haven provides services, but more than services, provides education. Yeah. And reinvestment is going to mean new buildings and homes for the mentally ill. Uh-huh. And future homes, well, 5 right now are being planned. But there's always risks, though. There's always risks, no matter what. And there's always resistance. Being stretched and challenged as we continue to go out and to bring the unknown in to provide homes is never without risk. Who are the people? Oh, let me tell you more about the people who live with us at Mercy Haven. How about first I give you another cup of coffee? I see you've already finished your coffee. We could go back in the other room while I tell you about the people. I'll take your cup right here. You can have a seat. Sure, you can have another cup of coffee. Me? No. My cup's already cold. That's all right. I just assumed we'd be talking to you anyway today and telling you the story about Mercy Haven and drinking coffee. I can do that anytime. Let me see if the water's ready. I already had it on, so it should be ready any minute. You wanted to know about the residents at Mercy Haven. Who are they? Oh, they're just wonderful. Each one of them is really, really special. How many? Oh, I don't know. I know most of them, I think. Have you forgotten? I've been a volunteer at Mercy Haven all these years. I've heard lots of stories. Yeah. I think the water's almost done. Remember, you can put some sugar in it if you want. Right there. Almost done. Let me see. They're all different, first of all. Just because someone's carrying mental illness doesn't mean that they're all clones of each other. And they're all really different. Like the toys. These are the little girls' dolls. Well, the residents at Mercy Haven are a little bit like this. Different. Men and women. Except that these dolls are, well, they're only white. At Mercy Haven, our residents are white and black and brown. There's the water. They're all different. A mental illness can come to anybody, regardless of their age or their sex or the color of their skin or the kind of family they came from too. Oh, I already told you about that. Yeah. Bob's hot now. Yeah. What's up now? I don't want to burn you. Well, many of folks who live at Mercy Haven have at one time or another been in a psychiatric hospital. You know about those places? Yeah. Some of our folks have been homeless, just living on the street. I'm going to sit with you for a minute. But some of the people at Mercy Haven have been through college. Me? No. I graduated from high school, though. My sister Emily didn't. She became ill when she was, late teens. I told you that. Some of the people who live with us in Mercy Haven have very little education. You see, we're all different. And some of us have lived in terrible places, like that hotel that I mentioned before here in town, and terrible, terrible apartments. Everybody here at Mercy Haven has, sometime or another, known terrible abuse. Just because there are people with mental illness, it doesn't mean that anybody has a right to treat anybody bad just because they're different. You sure you don't want a little milk in the coffee? Oh, okay. Some of the people at Mercy Haven have really been abused. They were really exploited bad. But that doesn't happen to anybody now in our community. That's why it's a home. Do they have responsibilities at Mercy Haven? Oh, sure. Everybody has things to do. Yeah. Why, all the residents have their own own chores, their own jobs to do around the house. Even though Mercy Haven provides the services that folks need and helps them with transportation, everybody has a role to play in their own community. Well, that's what life is all about for everybody, not just the mentally ill, don't you think so? Yeah. Oh, I didn't tell you about some of their accomplishments, because that's what makes me so proud. For some people, what makes them feel really good about themselves is the way they keep their room. Oh, and that reminds me too, for some people, it's been an accomplishment for them to be able to share a room with another person and to develop a friendship with that other person. You know, for some of our folks, that's a brand new experience. To live with another person in a safe place where their things won't get stolen and where people respect one another, that's what Mercy Haven's about. Yeah. Some of the people in Mercy Haven are really proud about how they've learned to take care of themselves. I mean, physically, their own hygiene. And for some folks, that's a lot. Yeah. Others, what they're really proud of is they know they're able to love. And in our apartments and in our houses, people receive love too. That goes a long way for helping people to feel that they've really accomplished something and that they're worth something in their lives. There's one person, no, there's more than one person I know who, well, this is my checkbook, but they have their own bank account. And so for them to say, I'm a person who's living with mental illness and I can be in control of my own money, that's a lot. These are the things that we just take for granted. Oh, and there are other people I know. I told you I know lots of folks. What they're proudest of is their gardeners. And they take care of the flowers and the bushes outside their house. That makes me feel really proud too. Yeah. Oh, I want to remember. There are others who are able to go from the apartments where they live to the houses. We call them CRs, community residents. And they go to the CRs, and some of them work there. They do cleaning or janitorial work or yard work. Why, there's even one person who goes and helps run a group. She facilitates a support group for some of the folks. So everybody gets to feel important. Whether or not they're living with mental illness, they all have a role. Remember that line I read you from the book about Catherine McCauley and her love for that scripture story about being sent out? Well, we do that at Mercy Haven with our own people. Everybody is sent out, and everybody is to serve, and everybody is called to do something. That's important, don't you think? Well, I bet it's important for you. That's why you're here. I'm sure you want to know this story. Yeah. Hobbies? Let me think. Oh, yeah. Our residents have all kinds of hobbies. Some people are wonderful at baking. I know a woman at Mercy Haven. She's such a good cook. She taught the counselor in her own house how to cook a roast. There's a good roast too. Yeah. Some are wonderful cooks, and some like to do excellent gardening, indoor plants and outdoor plants. Yeah. People live normally in Mercy Haven because we're just folks. Maybe different, but we're all just people. You're not drinking much of your coffee. Yeah. Celebrations? Oh. And parties? Oh, boy. The Christmas parties are wonderful with our residents. They really get into it. For a lot of people, they were never able to play, when they were growing up poor. Never had birthday parties or never got invited to Christmas parties. So those times are really special. And in the summertime, we have the best barbecues. Big barbecues, the whole grill and hot dogs and hamburgers. It's a wonderful time. Everybody comes and hot chips, and pickles and hamburgers and hot dogs. Just like anybody. See, people don't know that about the mentally ill. It might be different in some ways. But we're all just people, Now I'm kind of sorry I let my coffee get so cold. What do they do on their day-to-day? Oh, they're really busy all the time. Again, just like anybody, they all have their jobs that they have to do, first of all, in their own apartments or houses. And then they usually have a program, a day program that they go to. And some folks learn skills and go to classes. They meet with their doctors, and they have to get their daily meds. They meet with social workers and social services. Some people have jobs. Yeah, really. Oh, they're on the go a lot, like anybody. Sometimes it's hard to keep track of them because they're doing so many things. They always can come back at night to their own home, when nobody will make fun of them, and when they're loved, just for being who they are. See, that's the thing about home, you know? It's not just a place where you sleep, but it's a place where you can be free to be who you really are. How do they get around? Oh, let me tell you. They find a way. Everybody at Mercy Haven knows how to get around, to go to places where they have to get. I want to take your coffee one more time back in the living room. I'll show you on the board some of the ways they get around. Well, let me sit over here behind the board, and you can stay there. You want to know how they get around? Well, they get around like anybody would in Long Island. Some take the train, the Long Island Railroad. And some take Tommy's taxi. Lots of our residents use Tommy's taxi. And the Suffolk bus. Do you know about that bus service? It's a great service. And community support services, they're wonderful help for our residents. Oh, and some of our houses in the Hearth program, they each have their own van. So our folks don't have a hard time getting around. Everybody gets where they need to get to. The staff? I'm glad you asked, because that's what I wanted to talk to you about right now. Yeah. If I were to have one thread, one common thread that bound all our wonderful staff together, it's not that. It's their love for the residents. You're not surprised to hear that, are you? It's true. It's their love for the residents and their concern for their welfare, for their growth. That's really what binds them together. And whenever you're with any of our staff, from any of our houses, and you listen in on their conversation, that's what you'll hear. They'll share stories and ask questions, talk about the different cases of these folks that they love. That's the focus that binds them together. What have they learned from working with our residents? Oh. They have learned so much from the residents themselves. Most people think what the residents are learning from the counselors and the staff. When I listen to the staff talk about the residents, and when I hear what they are saying about the folks, one of the things I hear over and over again is that they have learned patience from our residents. How to be more gentle and how to be more accepting. They learn that from the residents, and then that helps the staff too be more patient and accepting with themselves. That's how it works. They learned about compassion from the residents. And they've learned how to be more grateful people themselves for all the miracles that are laying down in their life and all the things that they have, that they never take them for granted. Our residents have taught our staff about these things. And they've learned never to underestimate the capacities of those who are mentally ill because of the miracles that they've seen happen in the lives of our own people. They've seen miracles happen right before their very eyes. Yeah. Oh, it hasn't been easy for our residents, of course. These rubber bands, they've been stretched too. How? Well, most of of our staff, they come to Mercy Haven wanting to change the world. They're wonderfully idealistic. And what happens is they get changed. They get changed and pulled and challenged in ways they never expected to be. Yeah. Special memories? Oh, I listen to them talk when I get together with them. They have special memories of discoveries that our residents made about themselves. Oh, I love hearing the story about how one resident working with a staff member never spoke, never said any words. And this staff person was patient with the resident, and eventually that same person began to speak just grunt words. And after that, like monosyllabic phrases, and then whole sentences. That's a miracle. These are the kind of special memories that happen, I wouldn't say every day, but regularly in our homes and in our apartments and in our gatherings of Mercy Haven. There was one person who never communicated with anybody else, and as the counselor was patient with that person and loved that person, eventually we find out that the man was a reverend, an ordained reverend, and had lost touch with his whole family. Mercy Haven was able to reunite that same man with his family. That's what homes can do. Homes reunite people. We see that happen every day. Another of the memories that our staff has that love is watching our residents become empowered. Know that he or she can walk across the street to the bank and make their own deposit from their own checkbook on their own. These are the miracles that feed our staff day to day to day to day. What gets them down? Well, continuing cuts in social service funding is really high for our staff because that affects the quality of life for the residents. And ignorance. The ignorance of so many people who don't understand the mentally ill. It makes it hard for our staff who so much want to see justice brought to all, are very much peacemakers. When they see that still so many are really ignorant about the mentally ill, it gets very difficult for them. It does for me too. And I'm just a volunteer. It still gets hard when we realize how much people still don't know. Yeah. What do the staff think about Mercy Haven? Well, they have a lot to say about that. I go to their meetings sometimes, and they always go around with these blue binders. And in here are some notes from one of their meetings when they were talking about Mercy Haven. So I'll tell you what they had to say. One of the things they always say is that Mercy Haven is more person-centered than any place they've ever worked in. That's important to us. It means that here people matter. The residents matter. The staff matters. All the counselors matter. The secretaries, everyone, they matter. And differences are acknowledged and accepted too. It's okay to be different at Mercy Haven. One staff person says that maybe Mercy Haven is smaller than a corporation, but we have more heart at Mercy Haven. The staff only have wonderful things to say about being here. The other thing that they always speak about is how wonderful the training is. That Mercy Haven makes an investment in their own growth. And I remember one young woman, saying that Mercy Haven has helped her to grow spiritually from the inside out. She was talking about the ways in which she's been made to stretch. She was growing from the inside out. That has to do with the way in which Mercy Haven has really challenged her to stretch. So it wasn't just professional growth, but spiritual growth as well. Has that ever happened to you at a place you work? It does for some of us here at Mercy Haven. Our staff is really wonderful. Board of directors, right next to it, they're no less wonderful. Why, none of us would keep on moving and moving if it weren't for the board of directors. What are they like? Well, they're as different as our families are who come here, and as different as our residents are. They're all kind of people. Well, for instance, someone on the board of directors was just in the background in the early days of Mercy Haven. He was what you might call a numbers cruncher, and helped us out in those early days without being seen or getting involved too much. But over time, what happened to him is what's happened to other people who are on the same board. They got to know our residents more. And the more they got to know their residents, the more they felt, goes back to Catherine McCauley again, the more they felt called. They had to make a difference and take a stand. And so that fellow isn't in the background anymore, just moving the numbers. He's very involved. He's a full participant on our board of directors, which is not unlike the stories of so many others. What kind of fields, professions? All kinds. We have people on our board who come right from our local community. Some are housewives, fathers, businessmen, leaders in the community, religious leaders, all colors and religious persuasions, different economic backgrounds, but they're all part of keeping this moving and growing and changing. They're getting stretched. Oh boy. Well, just like the families, the residents, and the staff, our board of directors have been stretched and challenged too in ways they never ever dreamed of being. We couldn't have this without them being part of it. Not only have they been changed, but they keep Mercy Haven changing as well. You see, when we come all the way around, we come back to miracles again. We started in prayer and experienced all these miracles, and we come back again to the reign of miracles. That never stops. I mean, when you think about it, it was just a group of housewives in the beginning. A bunch of moms, maybe 24 kids between them, who decided to stand up on behalf of God's little ones. Whoever would have thought? That's a miracle in itself. What happens to people when God really sends them out? They get changed, you know. They get changed. And 2 social workers, 2 young sisters of mercy, so naive, really green, taking on this whole world of funding and grants and social services and the town, to build houses and renovate homes and provide housing for the homeless and the mentally ill. That's another miracle. It never stops. And to see everyone in Mercy Haven's storyboard continually getting sent and changed and stretched, those are miracles. Lives have been transformed. Lives keep getting transformed. In a sense, it's a miraculous story, you know. We've also had responses from people in the towns and communities who previously said, not here. But eventually came to say, yes, in my backyard too. That's been a miracle. People meeting here and cooperating with one another. With people they never expected to be at the same table with, let alone meet under the same rooftop with. I think goodness and mercy do prevail no matter what. I almost wish I could take our Mercy Haven storyboard and put this elastic all around it to show you how it really does stretch. It's that alive, you know. It's not just a board, even though it looks like just a board. Pat and Kathy have been stretched and changed. Yeah. The members of the staff and the board of directors, all the residents, the people in town, people in other towns who have known about us, they all keep being changed by our commitment to work for justice for God's little ones. I almost wish I could show you how we've become linked together. Those of us in these communities who said no, never here. And those of us who've always said, right here. See, Mercy Haven has brought people together, and we've made government work. We're changing the way government does government. We've even been able to change some zoning laws now. That's another miracle. Yeah. No more are we just the people who reacted to the problems, but now Mercy Haven has asked to come to meetings where we're seen as planners and experts on housing. That's another miracle. Everybody's welcomed home. To have a home, to feel at home, and to meet in the middle. So Mercy Haven's storyboard invites everybody to come together, to be at home with one another.